Well, today, Mayor Adams got a firsthand look at the ever-evolving migrant crisis at the border. Tens of thousands of migrants have been bused to New York over the past year. The mayor says they need help, and it is costing the city billions. In fact, as much as $2 billion. That's doubling the previous cost estimate that Adams made back in December. Correspondent Joe Khalil live for us with more on Mayor Adams' trip to the border now. Joe?
And Natasha, so we were just listening in actually as Mayor Adams was making those remarks. And really what he talked about was that he feels there's not a sense of urgency from the federal government that there should be, and that a lot of this burden is falling on mayors of border towns and mayors of large cities like himself. He talked about how he is going to take the mantle, he along with other mayors, because there is just simply a lack of coordination at the top. That was really his main message, and I want to quote him here for just 1 second. I took some notes. He said that people are coming here to pursue the American dream, and that dream shouldn't become a nightmare because of lack of coordination. So, in other words, he's also showing some sympathy to the folks who are actually coming to the border as well, Natasha. Now, this starts, yesterday. Mayor Adams met with border agents. He met with city officials from El Paso, and he got to see the crisis up close as migrants continue to sleep outside in shelters on the streets of El Paso. New York City's mayor says that the migrant influx could cost his city as much as $2 billion in taxpayer money. So all of that very serious funding for schools, hospitals, et cetera, he says, would be out the window. For perspective here, in 2022, border agents processed more than 2.3 million migrant encounters at the southern border. That was a record. And so far this year, this fiscal year, 58,000 per week, 7,600 per day. Now, over the summer, governors of border states began sending migrants who'd crossed the border to cities like Chicago, Washington, D.C., and New York. Now, while Adams has criticized Governors Greg Abbott of Texas and Ron DeSantis of Florida for doing this as a political stunt, he did also urge the Biden administration to take the crisis more seriously. We have a tweet that Greg Abbott just put out, perhaps one of the most vocal critics of the Biden administration, and basically talking about how if President Biden refuses to enforce federal law, Texas will protect our country. So that is sort of the situation now, taking a broader look at it. I want to play what Eric Adams said on Friday ahead of his trip.
We need help, and that is why we're calling on the national government to not put this burden on our cities. El Paso should not be going through this. Washington, Houston, New York, none of our small or large cities should be experiencing this.
We should also mention that after President Biden took his first historic trip to the border just last week, it was announced by some border agents that there is more construction on the border wall now continuing. Meantime, Mayor Adams says so far 36,000 migrants have been sent to New York City, and he says despite asking for help from the federal government, he does want New York to remain a sanctuary city, something that I thought was an important thing to note there. Natasha?
Yeah, interesting. Thank you so much. Joe Khalil live for us this evening. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.